justice stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Lion Maryland, our song, please. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of thy pilgrims bright, from every mountainside, let freedom.
Pleasure to introduce guests from the Port of Longview. Our speaker will be introduced momentarily, but Ashley Hellenberg, Daryl Deeds, and Paige Phillips are here.
President does go Alliance and guests, don't forget your go for button. And 5, 10, and 20 packets. Thanks.
And Lion Carrie Ann Bottero.
President Doug, fellow Alliance and guests. I am talking about our Taste of Italy that's coming up pretty quick. April 12th is the event date. We are really trying to make this a big event, and we greatly rely on donations. We have a list of donations. There's some that donated last year that have not been contacted yet this year. So if you are not on the committee and you can help us reach out to businesses or individuals for those donations, we would greatly appreciate your help. And ticket sales as well. So this is one of our big fundraisers for those scholarships, donations, and those ticket sales. $9 for all you can eat. So it's very inexpensive. Get your friends, family, co-workers, and get them some tickets for the event. Laura has some of those tickets now. Judy has some of those tickets now. And so if you would like to purchase any after our meeting today, please contact Judy or I. We will get those in your hot little hands.
As Council Chair Hal Palmer.
Who knows who that guy is? I think you'll look real nice now. Thank you, Judith. President Dove, no lines and yes. You know, I could have brought my gun just for you. Just so you know that. Yeah. Looking at about 3 or 4 others here too. You got that right? Shoot, I might you'll use up a whole clip, right? Hey, guess what's happening in 28 days? The advertising deadline for Cabaret. Thank you for people who brought me checks today. Thank you for those who told me about ads. Currently, as of last night, we're at $14,100. Yay! Yay! That's 54% of our goal, you know. And this last little crunch time was when the majority of the ads come in, so that would help you understand that we've got a lot of ads to sell in the next 28 days, and I appreciate your help. There are 35 days till Meet the Director Night. And in preparation for the Meet the Director Night, we have a little flash mob we're going to be pulling off. If any of you would like to participate in the flash mob, it's at Evergreen Dance Studio, Friday night at 7. Now here's how hard this is. I got it on the second try. We're just doing a little flash mob to the tune of Twist and Shout, and it'll be pretty cool. And you're going to be seeing these flash mobs in a variety of places around town.
Are closed optional?
Yes. And then we have 58 days to the first performance. So flash mob, we talked about how much money we've raised. We have about 22 ticket packets out, and John Morelli's in the back, along with Gary Hill. What'd you do with Janice? Did you lose her? Yeah, well, I was supposed to pick her up, so it's my problem. So, John, how are we doing on those ticket packets back there?
We have 20 out here. We have another 10 that have gone out with Fred Carter to share around. That's really a great group. I really hope that you guys will pick up a packet and try and spend the next 8 weeks getting your friends to pick up on these. It's just like 10 in a packet. It's easy to do.
That's right.
The more we sell, the more money we raise.
Yeah, when I was at the Evergreen packet practice on Friday night, 2 people already said that they sold half their vouchers. So what it is, we're selling a voucher. They call a theater to pick the performance that they want. You bring the money in, you give that to Gary or John or Janice, and we give you another packet to sell another packet. What a deal, right? So Joe, you gonna get some packets today?
No.
Why not? Wait a minute, Joe, what?
I'm sorry.
Remember how much we're saving you in your office by not having all those meetings here?
That's right.
That's right. Joe's to take 2 packets.
Lyon, Maryland.
President, Judge, fellow Lions and guests, I actually just want to speak to the ladies. This is a nice little t-shirt, 3/4 length, the right shape, right texture, and you could be wearing it with our Lions logo instead of Beverly Hills, whatever it is. The bling is great. In fact, these shirts were worn by our tapestry dancers that are involved with cabaret. So another year in past. So if you are interested, I want you to be thinking about it. I think the price is going to be a little over $20 for the t-shirt. So I will get more pricing if I have people show interest.
District Governor, do you have an announcement?
Just for you, big boy. Put this on your calendar, May 9th and 10th. District conference for the district governor, me. Friday night, fun night. We have secured the pastry chef Sharon, who is going to provide some prizes for the Crazy Hat Night, which is on fun night right after contest and awards. Registration forms, I have some here. There's some back by George, and we'll have them available clear up to conference time.
And Lyon, Duck, and Wallace, way in the back.
Hello. Bring up again, April 19th is our Earth Day here at the fairgrounds. April 26th is the fish Ferrari. May 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd is the White King Day. And right after the meeting here today, I want to have a chuck wagon meeting.
What?
If you can, everybody's on the chuck wagon. That meets that over here in the corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I have a very important announcement to make. Get out your pencils, because next week we will not be meeting here. We'll be meeting at the Eagles Club, which is at 1526 12th Avenue. Same time, different location. Now, if you need to know exactly where that is, it's on 12th Avenue between Maple and Michigan. And park in the back from the 11th Street side would be the best place. Plenty of room to park back there. So mark that down. Next Tuesday, we're going to meet at the Eagles Club, okay? Now, if I can call Lloyd Osborne up here for a minute.
Lloyd?
Oh, it's hell to the shave. I'm sorry. You made it.
Glad to see you, Lloyd Longview. I have in my hand a membership key that would present the Lions that have brought in 2 members. Lions rely on membership to keep doing the things we do. We rely on people like you to come forward with friends and members. So I want to thank you very much for your efforts.
Okay, now without further ado, I'm going to turn this meeting over to our illustrious program chair, Gooey Duck Phil Olson.
Sounds like a do to me. President Doug, fellow Lions and guests. George Rader is typically the March program director, so you have a choice between either a 20-minute introduction and no program, or a couple very bad jokes. No.
Get on with the program.
Okay, we have the pleasure today of hearing from the Port of Longview. Some of you may know that the Port of Longview is going to collect a tax for capital improvements. Raise your hand if you have an opinion on that tax. Okay, now, I would also like to see a show of hands of everybody who did all the research and due diligence necessary before forming that opinion.
Wait a minute, we're voters, we don't do that.
Keith, I believe. None of the rest of you do I believe. Anyway, it's our pleasure to have Geir Kalhagen here today. He is the CEO of the Port of Longview. He is not a member of a service club because he's been here less than a year and he thought he would take a while and look around, and I'm sure after today he's just dying to get into this service club. Anyway, the most important thing I can tell you about him is he's from Norway, or he is Norwegian heritage and speaks fluent Norwegian, and his children are named Gerson and Liam, so we share a real connection. He has more than 26 years in the maritime industry, all kinds of different things, international experience, a strong understanding of the Columbia River, global connections. And prior to coming here, he was the general manager for title transport and trading in the Columbia River area. So anyway, I'd rather listen to him talk than see you watch me with the dazed look on your face. So please welcome Geir Kalhagen.
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and present on behalf of the Port. It is my intention to first bring to bear the benefits that the Port brings to the community, then give you an update on some of the capital improvements and projects that we're in the process of moving forward with. And then finally, just give you an idea of the business environment that we operate in. And there'll be some segments in here that will relate towards the taxes because obviously that's a very popular topic. I'd be happy to, if there's somewhere in the presentation that you feel that you absolutely need to break in and ask a question, I'd be happy to answer it. And I'll also stick around here at the end of the presentation to answer any questions that you may have. So on that note, we'll begin. Just to give you an idea, a lot of people seem to think, and I read it in the blogs and I hear it in the comments, that the Port is about the people that work in the administration building and the longshoremen. That is so far from the truth, it's not even funny. Here I put up here on the board, this is just a list. I know it's too many to read and they're small, but this is just a small semblance of the people that the Port does business with. This is a small semblance of the checks that the commissioner signed to pay out money into the local community. And the amount that has been designated by our economic impact study is $444 million that the Port contributes by the business that we're in. Another important thing is that we were found that through direct and indirect jobs, we're actually responsible for 1 in 10 local jobs. So 10% can be tied to the Port and the activities that the Port does. And I guarantee you that's not the 30 people that are in the building that are working day in and day out to make sure that we have the ability to run the business the way that we do. In return, the Port generates $5.2 million of taxes through the tenants and the customers that we have, through the property taxes and the sales taxes and the corporate taxes that these companies pay. If the Port wasn't here, they wouldn't be here. That $5.2 million would not be here either. So I think that's an important component to the calculation that we'll get to here a little bit later. As I touched upon, $444 million for local businesses. We love this picture here. This is the picture of one of our cranes. And it actually requires 2 companies to come down and just service the tires on one piece of equipment. That's Superior and Les Schwab that are doing the maintenance on those tires. We now have another crane to go along with this, so opportunity for 2 more businesses to come down there, or for the ones that are working there to work, and generate twice as much revenue. So again, on the tax, nobody likes to pay taxes, I get that. But I think at the end of the day, what you have to look at is, what is your return on your investment? This is what we, or not us, this is what has been determined to be the return that the port puts in. So $52 million in wages. As I stated earlier, $444 million generated by local businesses, $5.2 million in taxes generated, and 1 in 10 local jobs. That's all on an investment of $3.1 million. So I think that anybody here would grab at the chance to make a return on an investment like that if it was offered to you, and that is part of what the port offers to the community. Next one. Other things that we are looking at to fulfill our responsibilities to the community, and some of the projects that we're looking at, and I included Willow Grove as one of the projects because we do look at it as an opportunity to take an asset that the port, that the county had under its jurisdiction, make it better and return it to the community. It's also an opportunity for us to mitigate some of the requirements for shoreline access, which we have not done up until this point, and also for an opportunity for the port to actually have ownership and to fulfill its responsibilities to provide parks and recreation, which is in the RCW. In the past, the port has been very effective in giving money to different communities, so we would pay somebody to run their boat launch or to dredge their boat area. I think that what we have to do is we have to stand up in front of the community, and from my perspective, and obviously at the end of the day, the commissioners are going to be the ones that are making the determination, but I want to be able to stand out in front of the community and be proud of the things that we do, not just throw money at things. I think this is one of the opportunities that we have where when we do this, this will be a focal point of the community. I believe it's going to be the best boat launch that is in this area, and it's going to be an opportunity to provide recreational activities for the entire community, as well as the access to the water, which I think right now is something that everybody could appreciate. Another thing that we're looking at is the Barlow Point land parcel that we acquired, which we have spent the last, since purchase, in reclaiming from motocross and mud bogs to actually usable land. It's a green field. It's 285 acres. And I would say that it's probably the only greenfield parcel that's available on the entire West Coast for development for a port. And as you'll see as we move forward, one of the things that people often misunderstand is that we're competing with Vancouver or Portland. But the competition that we're involved in spans the entire country and other parts of the globe. Here's another project. This is the one that was identified as the project that the tax revenues would be going towards. You can see down there in the corner, there's a picture of the facility constructed in 1926 and what it looks like today. Not a whole lot's changed. It used to be gray. Now it looks like it's yellow with a little bit of red on it. But at the end of the day, the physical structure and the piers and the creosote pilings, they're the same that have been there since 1926. We want to re-facilitate that berth. We want to make it into a revenue-generating source for the port, and we also want to do our part to clean up the river too, and get those creosote pilings out. There's over 1,000 of them in there. We just started the work here last week using the port's equipment and the port's labor. We'll be able to work on that until we get down to the water level. At that point, we'll have to stop due to state environmental requirements, and we'll pick up the project again in October. Yeah, here's another one. We did a purchase of a second mobile crane, sort of get back to the capacity that the port used to have back in the day. There you can see the 2 stiff leg cranes. And this goes to more to speak of where our competition is and who we have to compete for cargo. And at the end of the day, we found that if we wanted to compete for the cargo that generates the highest revenue, we need to have the equipment to facilitate that. And the very interesting thing is, you're going to see here in the next slide, this is basically the two different scenarios that the two different cranes were purchased at. So you have the one bonding, which was the first crane that was bonded, which will be paid off in the year 2028. And then you have the one that we purchased last year and delivered this year that'll be purchased or paid off in 2018. The difference is approximately $2.7 million, or half the cost of the crane. Now, traditionally, what the port has done is to issue bonds for these kind of purchases. And what it does, it sort of masks the way that the community contributes to the effectiveness of the port. So you have bonds. Now, I'll bring up the very important fact that the payments for the bonding are approximately $32,000 a month. The payments for the commercial credit are about $65,000 a month. So the payments are double. But the amount of interest that we paid on the commercial loan is going to be about $400,000, and as I said, about $2.7 million on the commercial bonding. So really, it may look like the community is paying less and the taxes are less, but at the end of the day, you're paying that payment for the next 20 years. So to put it in layman's terms, it would be the same as putting a mortgage on a car. It doesn't make sense. You save a mortgage for a house, for big investments where you can generate revenue. You don't use it on non-durable goods. And I hope the crane is going to be around for a good 20 years, but at the end of the day, it's an operational piece of equipment. And I think it's a disservice to the community to give you a lower monthly payment and don't tell you about the balloon at the back end of it. And that's the philosophy that I brought, and that's what I made for the commissioners, as far as the tax issue goes. I think it's just sound common sense fiscal prudence is my take on it. I'm sure that other people have different opinions, and I hear them all the time. But it's a conversation that's I'm happy to have. One of the things to take into consideration is that we are also a balanced port as far as imports and exports. So a lot of people, first thing they want to do is they want to compare us to this port or that port or another port. Right now, we have reached the distinction that we're the third largest port in the state of Washington, or as I like to say when I go up to Olympia and when I go out to DC, we're the largest non-containerized port in the state of Washington, which is the most trade-dependent state in the nation. So part of getting out there and getting in the public eye means you're going to be open for a lot more criticism, but part of it also is you're open to a lot more scrutiny and also a lot more attention from our legislators and our elected officials at all levels, where we can actually start competing for some of the monies that we have seen go to other ports like Vancouver and Tacoma and Seattle, because we are in the same league as they are, and we're making that known, and we're starting to get a lot more attention on that front as well. So go to the next slide there, Ashley. These right here are the ports that we compete against. Some of our strongest competition is probably coming out of the Gulf. We're competing against Houston, New Orleans, Galveston, as well as the ports down in San Francisco. Our biggest competition, though, since it does come from the Gulf, is we like to say that we're proud of the fact that we pay family living wages for the people that work at the port. And longshoremen, they make a good salary, but they do a lot of hard work to earn that. But the point being is, there's only certain things that affect the price of doing something or making something, and labor is a big component of that. That's out of our control. So when we're competing against the likes of the Gulf Coast, and their labor rates are a lot lower than ours, and their environmental laws are a lot easier to comply with than ours are, the only other way we can do that is based on service and offering something that they don't have. Fortunately, we do have location. We are probably one of the closest ports to Asia, which is an incredible market. However, they do have the option of the Panama Canal, and I don't know if any of you have been following, but they're in the process of a complete renovation of the Panama Canal to allow much larger ships. There's a lot of naysayers who say that once that opens up, a lot of discretionary cargo is going to move off the West Coast. I don't see that as happening. You're going to see probably a 70% fluctuation in container traffic. Steel products and low-margin bulk products will probably move through there if we can't compete. But I think with our location and with the distance and with the cost of bunker fuels for vessels, I think we'll be able to hold our own as long as we keep up with the investments that we need to make sure that we have the facilities that can accept the kind of cargoes and opportunities that are out there. Another thing here you'll see, I think that the north-south trade routes through Chile and South and Central America are also going to pick up, but that's just a side note. So here you can see, that this great nation is blessed with an incredible infrastructure, and the railroad is a unique part of that. But that also goes to the fact that you can bring something in to Houston, and you can get it to Montana or Wyoming about as quick as, well, not quite as quick, but fairly close to as quick as we can get it from here on the rails. So there is a lot of competition, but that also means that if we're effective, and we have the tools that we need, we can also compete against them. The conversation goes, who's your biggest competitor? Well, I'd like to say that we're the biggest competitor of these ports as well. And we do a fairly good job at this, but again, you need to have the tools. You need to be able to be prepared to live up to the expectations of the people that are moving the cargo. So at the end of the day, it's not my port, it's your port. It's the people who live in the community that you own those assets. And I'd like to say that, in talking with my commissioners, they form the vision and they lead me or guide me in the direction that they want to see the port go. The determination where they arrive at that is from the input from the community. We have 2 public meetings every month, and I would say that there's plenty of seats available for people to come and participate. It's real easy to, at the end of the day, if something happens and you don't like it, to complain about it. But, we welcome people to come and be part of this conversation. I make recommendations to the commissioners based on basic financial, economic, business principles, but they decide what direction the port goes, and I follow their lead. So what I'd like to say is that if there's one takeaway that you have at the end of this presentation, is that it is your port, and there is opportunity to be a part of that discussion. And I invite you to come to the port, and I invite you to come to our commission meetings and actively participate in the port. And I'll open it up for questions at this point, if anybody has any, or general comments. Yes, sir.
What were the other options you looked at besides raising that tax?
Well, at the end of the day, you could raise it. Well, here's what I did. I came in there and I did an assessment of the port. I directed the operations people and I directed the facilities people to give me a report card on all the assets that we have. And when that answer came back, it was fairly apparent that there was a lot of work that needed to be done. We prioritized that work, and then we looked at, what is need to have, like to have, we can do without. And the business part of this decision was actually influenced when I went to the first joint meeting of the city of Kelso and the city of Longview. And the road folks put up a slide, and they showed the road in 3 states of disrepair. All right, so just for simple numbers, this stage, $1 a mile to fix. This stage, $10 a mile to fix. The next, $100. You get the idea. So I brought this in front of the commission, and I asked the commission, you let me know what is your guiding philosophy here. Is the port something that you believe in? Is the port something that you want to leave in a better state than you took it over? And the resounding answer to that was absolutely yes, we do. And then they recognize that the port provides a lot of benefits to the community. So that bill, if you look at it, if you take what we were doing, and even if you bonded it, we're at $75 million right now in deferred maintenance, and we're making some very hard choices. One of the things we did, just as an insight, is we did a 10% across the board cut of every department within the port to contribute to this as well. We contribute about $4 million. There's already $1.6 million that are going to the debts that the port already has had from the past, i.e. bonds. So the window is $1.4 million. Well, if you just do simple math, we never would have caught up. So then the determination becomes, what do you start selling off and what do you just start tearing down? That was not a path that the commissioners were ready to go down. So the other option is to let it fall, or to put that seed money in there and then generate revenue so that we can start paying it back and expedite it. So, I mean, there really wasn't another question as far as revenue streams. Obviously, we go after grants, Tiger grants. We're going after commercial loans like we did with the crane where we could. But this is for investment in infrastructure only. That's a long-winded answer. I don't know if it answer specifically what you're looking at.
What I heard was not a lot of other options, what I heard.
There aren't that many other options, and we're certainly open to them, but, you know, we looked at it, and the idea is, you know, I'm a simple operations guy. I look at things, you know, is there a problem? You identify the problem. Then you put a set of solutions, and you pick the best solution to go in there. I think if you're a populist, then you know you wouldn't have gone for the tax increase, and you would have just kept on going the way we're doing. But like I said before, I don't want the port to be something that is sort of spoken about, you know, oh, did you hear this about the port, did you hear that about it? I want the port to be out front in the public. I want the port to be accessible by people in the community. And I want the port to stand for something that people in this community are proud of, because we are fortunate, we are blessed to have it as an asset. And I mean, I think that the people, you know, who decided back in the day to form port authorities for the benefit of the communities, it was the right idea to do what they did. And I think that we've gone through some growing pains, and there was a while back when, you know, it was hard to keep the lights on. I've gone back through the financials. I mean, you know, it was to the point where you walk in and you start deciding, well, how many light bulbs do we really need in this room? Let's unscrew 7 of them and see if we can still do the work that we need to do. Fortunately, with an investment in the facilities and the infrastructure, we've been able to slowly get our way back up. I think the EGP made us to where right now we're not worried about keeping the lights on. Now we're looking towards opportunities to invest and to generate more revenue, and also with that jobs, which is a major part of what we do, and also create revenue and tax streams that go back into the community. So, yes, sir.
So you mentioned growing up. I can appreciate that as someone who shows up to more than my fair share of meetings, commissioner meetings, but you hold your meetings at 9:30 a.m. on a work day. So as a young businessman with family, that's, you know, that's kind of hard to get to those meetings for you and for the PUD. Is there a reason that those couldn't be more accessible? I know now they're being recorded on KLTV, which is nice, but doesn't give an opportunity for interaction.
No, I can appreciate that, and my communications person over here is like way. Dare answer that question. That one's mine, so I'm gonna pass it. I think that they have done that in the past. Before I promise something I'm gonna get in trouble for, I'll let her answer that.
That's a great point, and one that was brought up as soon as Daryl came actually to the board, and Bob as well, Bob Augustin. We tried that. We went to 5:30 in the evening meetings for several months, tried to engage the community and get them to come to our meetings, and at the end of the day, we were in this room and just the management team staring at each other awkwardly, and so we didn't get a very good response. We tried really hard to get people here, and we didn't have any luck. Not to say that we couldn't try it again, or that we couldn't arrange for different types of meetings. I do a lot of one-on-one with interested community members, so we're open.
I think if you regularly attend city council meetings, you'll find that a lot of times there aren't a lot of people there. But when a decision like this comes up, it gives you a better opportunity to explain it to the public, so that you're not coming back around doing a publicity tour, trying to tell us why you did it and why it was such a good idea. I'm not commenting on whether the tax increase is a good thing or a bad thing. But had those meetings been more accessible, I guarantee during that time period, you would have had more participation from the community. I've seen that in county commission meetings, I've seen it at a lot of city council meetings, I've seen it at PUD meetings. I see the difference when those hot button issues come up, when the public has opportunity for access.
That's a very, very valid and fair point. I'd like to say that part of this, what you call a publicity tour, I don't see it that way. What I see it is I'm owning up to a mistake that I made. All right, this is not about changing your mind or saying, well, you know, look at the little rubber ducky, you don't pay attention to what we did. I made a mistake. What I did is I simply looked at what the problem was and what the solution was, and applied the solution to the problem. And in all due fairness, I did not take into consideration public input. I didn't. I mean, I was fresh out of the private sector. You know, I was like, what, I gotta convince everybody? You gotta be kidding me. Well, you know what, lesson learned. I mean, I get it now, but that was what I went in there with the intent. I took most of my time making sure that the numbers were correct and that the presentation that I was gonna give to the commissioners was correct. And I had a disregard for the public, and I learned that lesson quite well. So I got
Based on your triangle you showed us, you did just the opposite.
Well, I guess I made some assumptions that were incorrect, you know, I focused more on the problem than that pyramid. You're absolutely right. And I think that, you know, I probably put the commissioners in a position they didn't feel comfortable in, because here is very pressing economic reasons to do what I presented and still stand by is the right thing to do. And obviously, the biggest part of the triangle is y'all and I let you out. So, you know, 40 lashes, I guess. But it's not a publicity tour. I stand by it. I'm not trying to paint it as a pretty picture. And I was told if this guy gets any closer, he's just going to rip the mic out of my hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Geir. I appreciate your presence today and explaining the situation on the court. I'm sure some other people may have some questions. I'm hoping we'll stay after.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, I'm going to present you with a mug
Oh,
as a token of our appreciation for coming to Longview Pioneer Alliance.
thank
And I
you.
also know you've got an application over there.
Yeah, that showed up pretty doggone quick.
But thank you very much.
All right.
And to your staff for coming.
Okay,
Appreciate it very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ticket.
I accept.
As you're talking about it, Bob, go ahead and show me.
The blue ticket number is 163240. 163240. Going once. Nobody? They must have left. You want to draw another blue ticket? We'll go to the red ticket while we're doing that. The red ticket is 323461. Oh, you mean you found it, Lloyd? Jack, you got it? Confirm the blue ticket is 163240, right, Jack? Glad you could make it. What the red ticket is, 3461. Don Claypool. That's going to where? White Canyon. Now we have a pie and lemon bars that were on the raffle. Lion Sharon. Jerry Hill. Mr. Secretary, do we have any celebrity?
No, I was too wrapped up in the meeting.
You're too wrapped up in the meeting, so you were senile.
I was senile. Yes, sir.
Well, that's $5 for me.
Okay, very important. Lions Learning Center Forum is this weekend. It's free, for crying out loud. Go to it. Pick up an application here and get it sent in. Taste of Italy, they need donations for the auction. That's coming up April 12th, not too far away. Get your Go Forth funding from Dolly over here. Earth Day is the 19th, and Fish Frolic is the 26th of April, and also the concessions committee is having a meeting in the back. And the past presidents are going to have a meeting down the hall. Okay? And get your registered for the spring conference on the 9th and the 10th. Site and hearing meeting tomorrow at 6:30 at Canterbury Park. Get your ladies' t-shirts from Ryan, Maryland. And don't forget the Make-It meeting at the Alderman tomorrow. Okay, one final note. Don't forget that our meeting next week is not going to be here. The meeting next week is at the Eagles Club on 12th, park in the back off the 11th Avenue. Plenty of room back there, don't forget. That's 1526-12, okay? And lastly, remember, a pink elephant is a beast of bourbon. So I'll dismiss the meeting on that.
Not packed with love, that one.